Hey guys, I'm back in Texas, and wanted to do a little debriefing from the trip and give you some of my realities, some things that I'm becoming more and more aware of. Let you know about some things that are scaring me, and should be scaring you too. So, as most of you know, or some of you know, many of you know, I was one of the 800 to million plus people that went to the Capitol, and we're now being categorized as radical rioters and people that went to do harm to the Capitol, people that went to riot. You know, they called out the what do they call them, the National Guard on us. They called it was a very, very well orchestrated setup to take a massive march on the Capitol and on DC as it was a rally. It was a march to show support for our sitting president. Let me say that again. Our elected sitting president, we were there to support. We weren't there inciting a riot. We weren't there to burn the city. The city did not burn. We had the numbers. Don't think we didn't. But the city did not burn. I would say 99% of us had no idea, zero idea of what was going on inside the Capitol. Would not have condoned it, would not have been a part of it. I'm going to share a video right after this that I had shared a version of it earlier that I had to remove because a friend of mine was on that video and he had mistakenly worn something that might identify the company he works for, and he is under duress and threat of being fired, or could be, for just going to that rally. People are being fired all over the country that are being seen from their companies because they were shared on social media or somebody saw them on somebody's feed on social media. People are being fired from their jobs for going to support a sitting president, our First Amendment rights, and our right to peacefully collect. What is going on in this world? Okay, on my way back, actually, I think before I came back, social media, had suspended all of our sitting presidents' social media platforms. Any platform he has to communicate with his people, platforms he has used to communicate with his people of the United States as an elected official, are being silenced. He's shut down, he's silenced, as if he was trying to invoke a civil war, as if he had a negative thing to say and to incite violence. Let me be clear. His message was strong. His message was, we're going to march down to the Capitol and let us be heard by our elected representatives that we want to ensure democracy is intact. Somebody on the other side saw this whole massive thing coming. They knew they couldn't stop it. There was no way to stop it. But they're smarter than Trump. You've got people that have been in politics for 50 years that have learned how to hide their skeletons, learned how to have people disappear. Michael Epstein did not commit suicide, people. It didn't happen. Okay? I am not suicidal. I have my issues, but I'm not suicidal. But I don't know anything well enough, dark enough, for me to be eliminated. Not yet. But I'm going to tell you, if I disappear by suicide, it wasn't my wife and it wasn't me. Just saying that right up front, okay? I've got people on social media that do not believe my rhetoric, that I know people that saw and that recorded multiple van loads, bus loads, buses the size of a hotel bus, a shuttle bus, multiple buses coming in with police or government escort that had literally 3 police cars lit up like, they weren't marked, they weren't identified, but they were lit up like a Christmas tree. 3 of them coming in with armed guards right to the front of the Capitol steps. Before they showed up, there was a few Antifa people in the back that were banging on the glass. You'll see some of this video where the patriots stopped them, where the Trump supporters stopped them. Now, I'm not going to tell you there weren't some radical Trump supporters there. There are, okay? It's my understanding 80 people were arrested. Okay, 80 people were arrested in D.C. over this whole event. Let me be clear. Only 30 people out of almost 1 million or more were arrested at the Capitol for offenses against the Capitol. The other 50 were arrested for curfew violations after 6 p.m. 6 p.m. I barely made it back to my hotel. You couldn't catch an Uber. I mean, they were full. You couldn't catch a cab. There are no buses running. All the buses were non-in service, where they bust in police for video bites. Okay, let me just roll through the day for you. I'm going to roll through the day for you so that you can get an understanding of what happened, because the media has me. I'm a radical rioter, okay? But what I'm trying to do is, you see my fish here? I got some turtles. These fellas, they're fat and happy. They're well fed. Tank's clean. They feel good about life. They think they're free. They think they're free. I'm in a much bigger tank. And until this week, I really thought I was free. I really thought I had a right to free speech. I never would have dreamt that our President of the United States could be censored the way he is being censored. Now, he's stepping down. There's no doubt he's stepping down. There's no doubt the narrative that came out of, and it's such a shame. It's a victory for the Democrats, massive victory for the Democrats. But I'm going to tell you, 1 million of us didn't drive across country. 1 million of us didn't leave our businesses in the hands of our associates and our employees. 1 million of us didn't take off of work and take vacation time or unpaid leave to go be heard and to eliminate and destroy any chance that our president would have a second term. That wasn't what it was about. We weren't radicals. So I'm going to give you a little story. This is going to get a little long, okay? That Barbara says that's a 0.003% were arrested, okay? So about the likelihood you'll die of COVID is the number of people that were arrested. Okay. Probably shouldn't have said that. Probably makes me sound nutty. I get it. I do. I get it. So I'm gonna give you a little tidbit. I joined a group that was initially from Texas. There was Arlington Trump Train is a Texas that a proud young lady, Ajwa, has put together. She's best friends with my niece, and they've been standing on Bowen, on the corner of Bowen and California in Arlington, Texas, week after week after week, pretty much since the election, simply flying a flag and showing their support for Trump. I've been really impressed with this. I've attended a few Trump rallies before, and after. I really believe that no president has ever accomplished in their full term in modern day. Let's just say in modern day. I mean, we had some presidents did some amazing things back in the day during World War II, during World War One, during the Civil Revolution, Kennedy, Washington. John Adams. We've had some very, very good presidents, and I truly believe this one was one of them. I think he's getting a raw deal. I think he's being treated unfairly. With the way I'm seeing him be treated, I'm absolutely convinced that our president will go down in history not as he should have. I'm now suspecting any and all history books that I ever read. I'm wondering if we all know the Holocaust happened, but I'm wondering if it was 6,000 people versus 6 million. I don't know. It could have been 6 billion, but I'm going to tell you right now, history is written by the victors. History is written by the victors. The spoils go to the victors, and they're going to put their spin on it to fit their narrative. I'm seeing it happen live. I'm seeing it happen live right now, where the spin on the rally, the spin on President Trump's message, and the spin on what happened and what took place is atrocious. It's criminal. And it's not First Amendment. This is sabotage. This is sabotage by the media, sabotage by social media. I fully, 100% expect to be silenced at any time by social media. At any time by social media. If I go dark, you know I was silenced. Because I'm spinning what my truth is, and I'm going to be, as soon as they identify me and my 15 or 20 followers, as soon as they identify me, they're going to write me up as a radical, and they're going to shut my accounts down or freeze my accounts or put me in Facebook jail, because my narrative doesn't speak the narrative they want you to hear. My narrative doesn't speak the narrative that they want you to believe. So what I witnessed this week was, before I go into all the events, what I witnessed this week was a peaceful rally, and I saw Deep State, the Deep State, and I don't know who Deep State is. I don't even know or really believe that it's all Democrats. Okay, I am under the impression that we've got, and I don't know that I can do this with the selfie, utilize my stomach here. What we've got, what we may have, is in this deep state, is we have a Democrat government, or we have Democrats that are serving right now and serving the message that the deep state, whoever deep state is, and they're pulling their strings. Biden, he is at the top of that puppet list, and they're pulling his strings. And they've got strings over here on the Republican side. Don't get me wrong. We got a lot of weak Republicans that are easily bought, or in Joe Biden's words, prostituted out. And they're over here doing this, and they want to fight. They want to create a divide of our country. They want Democrat versus Republican to be split. Well, the reality is the Democrat and Republicans are like this. They should be a yin and yang. But somebody's pulling strings out here, and it's the ultra-rich. It's the people that are controlling the media. It's the people that are controlling our banks, our money system, which is not in control by the government. The Federal Reserve is a private entity. It is not our government. It is not supplied by our government. Many of you don't probably know that. The Federal Reserve, they are to be paid interest in gold. Our government owes the Federal Reserve now, I don't know, what is it, 30 trillion? That interest is to be paid in gold. That is the agreement. If you think Fort Knox is full, no, it's sitting over in the Federal Reserve's bank because we have to pay interest in gold, not cash. Cash is worthless. Cash is what the cash is. Cash is equivalent to the pellets I throw into these guys. It comes out of an unknown source. Don't buy into it. But this week, what I saw was I'm ranting. I got to stop ranting. What this week I saw, big rally, big rally, positive message. We wanted to verify the sanctity of the vote. We wanted to verify the reality of the vote. We want to know that our vote counts. And so 1 million of us took off work, all that to get there. And what I saw happen in broad daylight, okay, take all the conspiracy theories, okay, let's say the vans may or may not have shown up, because I've got a lot of people telling me there's no proof of it. There's no proof that the vans were there. There's no proof that the police escorted them in. And you know what? They're right. I saw it. It was up for a few minutes. I saw the video. It was up for a few minutes. Couldn't download it. It was streaming only. And I wasn't set up to stream or to download a streaming thing because I was mobile. But it was there. I saw it. I saw a video from people that took it, and it's been removed. Their sites, their social media, they're locked down. They can't share it again. I wouldn't have believed this until I saw that they can shut down the president. That made news. Y'all saw that. Twitter, they shut him down. Facebook, they shut the president down. If they could shut down the president of the United States, one of the richest men in this country, because they're saying something he doesn't want you to hear. They don't want you to believe. Then they can shut you down. Who are you? You don't have the power. You don't have the money. I don't have the power. I don't have the money. I'm going to be shut down. I'm 100% certain of it. So I saw them take and commit a crime against the United States just Wednesday. They committed a crime against the United States on our Capitol Hill. People overheard insiders. I don't know if they're Antifa. I'm not going to name them. I don't know who they are. But they heard insiders saying, this is too calm. We have to light this up. We have to turn up the excitement. This is way too calm. We need to shake this up. That was the term they used. We need to shake this up. That was on the rear side of the Capitol that I was on. It never occurred to me to go around to the front. Meanwhile, on the front of the Capitol, people were standing around. They were going into the Capitol legitimately. Okay? They were taking a tour. People were taking tours. Hey, we're all Americans. Many of us have never been to D.C. in the first place. So this trip combined, one of the guys that was with me, David, never been to D.C. We spent the whole evening before driving around looking at monuments that we could get to, and we weren't alone. There were patriots everywhere that have never been to D.C. before in their life. Many patriots who've never left their own state or their region of the country. Okay, these are not wealthy people that showed up. These are hard-working people. These are people that work 360 days a year and get 5 days off, take a week off if they're lucky, because they're so busy earning an income, okay, to put food in their mouth. These are normal Americans, just like me and you. Okay, some of us not as well as me and you, not as well off. Sorry, Banks has had enough of my speech here. He's got to go. So it was not just a protest for many of us, but a sightseeing tour. And there were protesters that they were being led into the voluntarily let in. Now they had to go through metal detectors like you would expect for any government building. I would expect that the chambers where the votes were taking place, a lot of you don't know, you've got in the House of Representatives and in Congress, you had the lower floors for our representatives. Above that floor is a location for uh, citizens, people, press. Now, press is usually down on the bottom, but for the press and for citizens to observe. We fully expected there would be patriots up there observing and possibly marching, possibly disrupting vocally the count, which is their right. They would be removed, and then a patriot behind them would go up there and take their place, and that is their right. If a congressman or a senator can do a filibuster and waste 48 hours to stop a vote they don't want to happen, if that's legal, it's just as legal for an American to be in that balcony and say their speak and be ejected lawfully. But my point is, that was the intent. It was too slow, and in come these buses in the front of the Capitol while I was in the back of the Capitol. And these buses come in with, I don't know how many people fits in those buses, but there was several buses with 5 police escorts, unmarked police cars that came rolling up. People came out dressed up in Trump gear and went straight to the barricades. They started the little show that you've seen on the news where people are shaking the thing, and the police just open it up and say, come on in, you're welcome, you're Americans. Okay, but they're the ones that incited the riot. They incited the riot. Mob mentality did take place. There were some people that got caught up in the moment, patriots that got caught up in the moment, pro-supporters that got caught up in the moment, and I feel for those people. I also understand because there was a lot of energy. It was a powder keg. That's the word I'm looking for. Powder keg. It was a powder keg of energy that needed a spark, and that spark happened. Those people were bussed in. I have personally seen the video. Now, this later today, if we don't have some kind of something happen, later today I'm meeting with many people and debriefing, and we're sharing our videos, not through social media, but direct to direct, because social media is killing and pulling down, actively killing. They're throttling down anybody's feeds and anybody's ability to share files. I know this to be true because Rush Limbaugh's show has been throttled way down because they're editing. They're trying to control the narrative. And so I witnessed Wednesday a peaceful rally, and I witnessed Deep State come in and change the narrative of that rally, commit a crime against the United States at the Capitol Hill in front of 1 million people. I'm just going to say 1 million because it's easier than saying 750 or 800,000 or 1.1. I don't know how many is the most people I've ever seen. But they committed a crime in front of 1 million American witnesses. Everyone's always wanting proof. 1 million American witnesses watched this crime happen before our eyes. We all had camera phones, and we were all recording it. And the Deep State wasn't worried about us. They weren't worried about 1 million witnesses. They committed the crime. They got in. They incited the violence. They got out. They were bussed straight back to the D.C. airport, and they took I don't know what plane they took, but they were in and out. They were in D.C. less than an hour, leaving us Trumpsters there to take the blame, leaving American patriots, mostly Republicans, there to take the blame. And then they successfully villainized all of us there and turned us into rioters and anti-American radicals. While I was walking back, I stood at the back of the Capitol building for about an hour, got bored, as almost everybody did. While we were back there, the alert came across and hit everybody's phone, and I think it was just before 3 p.m. that there was a 6 o'clock curfew instantly instated. So it basically gave us 3 hours to get back to our hotels by foot. We had bicycles, so we were ahead of the game. We were able to get back to our hotel faster than most people were because we had bicycles. Now we had to walk back down to the 1,000 block of Pennsylvania Avenue to pick up our bicycles, which our bicycles we had parked in the middle of the rally, or the path between the ellipse and the Capitol Hill. So we were walking back, and we're all joking with people we don't know that are walking back with their flags, their banners, and it wasn't quite as thick of a march going back because people broke up slowly, but we were joking about, I don't see any cars burning. I don't see any police cars with smashed out windows. I don't see any buildings. Only a few of the buildings were boarded up, by the way. Enough to create the illusion that all of D.C. was scared about the Trumpsters. There was only enough buildings boarded up for photo opportunities. So don't buy into that. It's all a sales pitch. This was put together by Hollywood producers and actors. It was this whole thing was an act, and it ended with that young lady climbing through a window, and an unknown armed person shot her in the head. She had no weapon. A young, beautiful lady squeezing through a window. Should she have been doing that? No. But lethal force was not necessary. Lethal force was not necessary. I'm an armed carrier. I'm a licensed carrier. And I'm going to tell you, I've never had to pull my gun, and hopefully I never will. But, you have to know when lethal force is authorized and when lethal force is legal. And lethal force was not necessary. She had no weapons on her. She was shot dead and instantly dead. I saw the video. I'm not going to share it. It's still up there, though. She was dead before she hit the ground. And they're not afraid to murder somebody in front of 1 million witnesses or whoever's backed up behind them, because they've successfully turned the 1 million witnesses into radical militia, radical rioters. They successfully turned a massive positive movement into, they criminalized us, every one of us. I was blown away by the media I saw Wednesday night. I did a little live feed on that. I'm continuing to be surprised. I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm continuing to be surprised with the media that is being played out. Patriots are coming home to their jobs, to their cities, and they're being ostracized. There's people rising up on the blue. There's people rising up on the blue now. So for all the activity we have done on the red side, all the activity is now being turned around. It's now been successfully flipped by this narrative that they've played. And we're coming home and we're being ostracized in our own neighborhoods. We left being told, go represent us. Go represent us. We wish we could come. We have to work. And we come back to a much smaller audience being behind us, and a much, much larger anti-freedom, a much larger audience saying, shame on you. Shame on you. I'm not ashamed. And I'm not going anywhere. Now, I don't want this country to end, and I don't think it's going to end in civil war. I really don't. Because civil war will happen when the left decides it's going to happen. Because as I witnessed this, civil war is not going to happen by Republicans. Republicans are law-abiding citizens. We don't burn cities down. We had the numbers. That city could have burned. That whole situation could have gotten so out of hand because we had the numbers. Had those people been armed, had those people carried Molotov cocktails, had those people wanted to loot and destroy the city, it would still be burning, people. That's not what Americans are about. That's not what patriots are about. That is not what Republicans are about. People are trying to say that, oh, the Republican Party, where's their law and order? Look what they did. No, we didn't. We weren't there. We weren't there to do that. I've got videos showing patriots stopping Antifa or whoever they were from breaking into the windows. Okay? Now, there was enough of them to where they did get a few radicals. I mean, there were some very uneducated hillbilly types that were there that were pro-Trump. And it doesn't take a lot to take these small-minded people, small-brained people, to get them all excited and get them peacocking and get a little out of hand. But I'm gonna ask you this. How many people get arrested at a Cowboys football game? How many people get arrested at a NASCAR event? How many people get arrested at spring break? Are the numbers equivalent to what we saw get arrested at this event? Shame on you, media. Shame on you for trying to turn us a million patriots, a million supporters of our sitting president, by the way, turning us into radicals and turning us into criminals. If we think we're free, if I've learned one thing this week, I've learned I live in an aquarium. I learned that I think I'm free. I've always thought I was free. But I'm kept. I'm as kept as my buddies right here. And I'm fine until I decide to get up and fight. If one of these fish get out of hand and they bully other fish and they continue to bully other fish, they get removed because they create a lot of stress for the other fish. And they usually get euthanized because they create a lot of stress for the other fish. Trump is a little stress for a few of us fish. Let that sink in. Trump is a little stress for a few of us Americans. He is spilling a narrative and he is doing things that those who are really in control don't want him to do. What do you think they're going to do with him? Let that sink in. This is my anniversary. I've been married to my beautiful wife for 33 years. And this has been such a shit week. This has been such a terrible week. She supported me in all this. I've been so busy putting videos together, having to bring videos down because I got people I got to worry about getting fired from their jobs. So I'm having to re-edit videos. Drove out there to DC. I wanted to be part of the drive. I drove it. It cost me a lot more to drive it than it did to fly it. You could fly round trip for $120, everybody. You could fly round trip from Dallas, Texas to Washington, D.C. for $120 to be a part of this rally. Think about that. David and I saw people camped out in cars. Now there's people camped out in tents everywhere, all over the park grounds, and they're homeless. But we saw people in parking spots Tuesday night when we were going around looking. When we walked up to the Lincoln Memorial and saw the reflection tower over to the Washington Memorial, we saw people camping in their cars. and thought they might have been homeless. Later, it occurred to us, no, they were in a spot to have an up front. They were sleeping in their cars to have an up front parking spot for the rally the next day. And wow, you know, I would have been much more thumbs up with those people if I'd have had that figured out at the time. But I just thought they were homeless on a higher degree that could afford a car. But that wasn't the case. We figured it out. They were there to get a front row parking spot. They were patriots. But yeah, people, we have to decide as Americans if we're going to live in this tank and be controlled by the deep state or not. We have to get our Democrat Party and our Republican Party to cut the strings from the wealthy warlords, or I'm just calling them deep state because I don't know who to call them. I don't know if they're government. I don't believe our country's being run by the government. I believe our country's being run by the one percenters, and I don't mean the bikers. I mean the 1% of the population that controls 90% of the money. They own the media. They own the banks. Money, they wipe their butt with money. I mean, money is nothing to them. They have most of it already. And they're not going to be happy until they get all of it. I'm trying to talk my wife into going to an undisclosed location to meet with fellow patriots for debriefings and video shares where we don't have to utilize social media platforms, and if she will do that, then if she's okay spending our anniversary doing that, then we're gonna do that and get some more video for you. But just remember, if I get silenced, if I go dark, well, they did to me what they did to Trump. Nobody's gonna notice that I disappeared on social media, but do take notice. Donald Trump disappeared from social media. If he can disappear, we can all disappear. All right, with that, I'm out of here, guys. I'm gonna go grab some lunch with my beloved wife. We're gonna go celebrate 33 years of being married to our best friends. Hope y'all can do the same. Take care.